Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Man! Because calling all beings is back in the building. I'm your host, DJ, and right down there is
Do I know? I don't
Money Nathan.
What's up, everybody? What is up? Good to see y'all.
Good to see you. Right above him, can you look up like we're on the Brady Bunch? Nathan, look up. And right above him is none other than one of the original gangsters of this joint at a study of UAP. Debs.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing, girlfriend?
I had a snowball before we got on, so I have some sugar in me. I am good.
I was going to say, it hailed here yesterday. It looked like snow on the ground. I almost had a hat attack when I got home. Diagonally down from me, to right down there, is the girl who's either from Montana or Alaska or wherever the hell she want to be remodeling a house, or the farm in Pennsylvania. Put them together for Courtney Connected.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Welcome back, Courtney. It's good to talk to you, homegirl. We're only hoping now. I am going to come off camera while you guys talk amongst yourselves like Linda Richmond from Saturday Night Live, and I'm going to see where the Tedesco brothers be at and let Keith know, because he the intermediary. We'll be right back, or I'll be right back.
Great. How you guys doing, man? It's been so long. How are y'all?
It has been so long. I am so glad that we have all reconvened tonight. And I wanna say this to you guys, and this is before the Tedescos come on. Don't they remind you of like Car Talk? Do you know
Car
like
Talk,
the East Coast, like Car Talk, where people call in? I kind of feel like they need their own UAP Car Talk special where people call in or be like, this old lady like, I saw this out in my backyard and it sounded like this, and they're like, okay, put the FLIR on. You know, I mean, they could have a
Clack of
thing.
ufology. Yeah, I mean that's what we need. I love that.
Over to you, Deb.
Yeah, yeah, Deb. What's going on with you?
I was just, I've been doing some AI artwork, and actually more particularly videos, in addition to working full time as usual. And great news, all the kids graduated.
Whoa! Wow, that's a huge milestone. Congrats.
Yeah. So yeah, growth. Mm-hmm.
So,
And of course, I've also been keeping my ear on the ground for what's going on in the UFO community.
Indeed. And what has caught your attention, Deb?
Well, the thing that caught my attention today was that apparently there's some tension around, let us say, a pivotal character in public who has been on the news, and how he did not go into a skiff and went to a conference instead. And then a certain politician sent some jabs his way. So that's what's going on. And unfortunately, that's not really the news that I want from the UFO community. So it's hard to be as involved as I used to be.
Yeah, I hear that. It is, and Courtney, I know you got a lot on this too. It's been a very dramatic few weeks in the social media community. I always have to remind people that what you see in the social media space is not really what's happening in ufology. It is a poor version of what's taking place.
I agree 100%. And I think it's the onus on every researcher to focus on what's important, but also know from what I've learned in the past few years, especially with Twitter, a little bit of titter. I think it's good to take breaks. So I've been taking breaks where I even just like totally uninstall the app from my phone and take vows of silence just to get the clutter out of my mental space and remind myself that all those passing things are like passing clouds. So I do want to reiterate that to everybody. It's okay to take breaks, get off of it. It's not healthy.
You gotta have some perspective. And I'll say something else that
I
DJ
do
likes to
feel
talk
like
about. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
sorry, I have a little bit of a lag for anyone who's watching. I don't know why, but I was just going to say it almost buries the research. It almost gets hidden by all of that stuff, all of the shiny, flashy stuff that happens with all of the social media and media interviews and all that stuff.
Yeah, I post a lot less, and I think there's just a lot of humans in the equation right now. There's a lot of humans doing human things, which really shouldn't be too surprising. That's what we do. We get in the mix and we have our egos, and those egos get in the way. But I will say, what I was going to say is that I do take the advice of DJ, our venerable DJ, and that is you can control the kind of experience that you have on social media. So if you are constantly bombarded with the drama and the same people are, attacking each other, and those are the kinds of things that fill up your feed, you don't have to experience that. You have the power to curate that experience. So you can block folks, hide folks, mute folks, whatever. And I encourage people to do that. I try to find that there are people who have healthy counter perspectives, and you want to follow those people. And then you have the people who have the toxic perspectives, and I just don't need that energy, so I don't follow those folks or pay attention to what they're saying.
I just want to, before we continue on, because I like to really engage with our audience. This is Rocker Chick. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, Canada. Make sure you're here this Saturday, because we're going to have the rock and roll reaction show on Calling All Beings. All the cabbies are invited. I will be playing classic rock cuts. Nobody knows what they are going to be. And then I'm going to get their reaction. So they're going to be on YouTube. So they'll be in the sidebar. We'll all be moved over to the sidebar. We're going to watch the video together as a group, and then they're going to react to it. And you are welcome to be there. Rocker Chick says, maybe Courtney can answer this. What happened to that documentary that was supposed to be released about UFOs called The Age of Disclosure? Age of Disclosure, mate.
Oh, well, I was there. So I was very fortunate enough to go to the screening. And once again, I kind of sectioned myself off because I just wanted to have the experience of viewing it as a viewer, not knowing anybody going in. So I met some people, just moviegoers at South by Southwest, and I did a full quotes and statements from the movie, just because I felt like it was important of who was in the movie, what they were saying. And then we were told at that time, there was some false stuff that came out, actually, that there was a distributor and it was going to come out on Netflix. I had to clear that up because I saw the false posting that it was distributed. It still doesn't have a distributor. So that's what's holding it up, the distributor. They're shopping it right now to get a distributor, and they want, from what I understand, a theatrical release. So I think that's the heavy lifting that Dan Farah is doing right now.
Dan Farah, where's your movie night? We're all waiting. Where is it? So anyway,
we want the movie. We want the movie done. We want it now.
We want the movie done, mate. Where is it? Come on, I can't wait forever. I'm getting older. You like that accent, Nathan?
It's very good. Very good.
Pursuito sang, which says, social media is, cue up the AC/DC, please. Highway to hell. I can hear Bon Scott right now. Little Bon Scott. So yeah, I agree. This right here is someone who not only was on Cab, but Bia and I were on her show. And then Bia did like 2.5 or 3 hours with her. This is the psychic card reader, an amazing content creator, one of the sweetest people, content creators you're likely to ever meet. Lady Zelda Kelly. Hello, darling. You're right, governor. So, yeah, she is lovely. She really is.
I think we need more of that positive content
Yes.
creation with beauty and essence and mystery. So good job. Well done. We need more of that everywhere.
She is just a lovely, lovely person. Lovely person. So, Standing Stones is here. This is a free Karen Reed. Oh, and I think Boston Bia's here. Where's Boston Bia? There she is. Boston Bia, what's up? I know there's a show she really wants to watch tonight, so the fact that she's here, she of course is my co-host on True Crime Unsolved. She is the pretty face behind True Crime Unsolved because mine definitely ain't.
Well, what's the show? Give us a pickup on the show. We all like to hear new shows. What's
Oh,
the favorite show?
the show that she's going to watch. So Karen Reed's attorney is going to be interviewed by a girl named Nurse Kim. Nurse Kim has appeared on Cab probably like 6 times. I think you're probably familiar with her, Courtney. So Nurse Kim was able to land David Yannetti. And despite the fact that I have his damn cell phone number, I have not landed David Yannetti. But great guy, and you can't land them all. That's one thing we've learned, right, about the industry. I mean, you just can't get everybody. So there's lots of love here for Hippie Chick is here. Hello, Hippie Chick. And I love this prosciutto sandwich. Does anybody here like prosciutto? Is that on your charcuterie board? Yes, I'm getting thumbs up here. All right. So I don't know where the Tedescos are. And I don't have any Tabasco sauce. So I think we're going to do a UFO show. I've invited Keith. Keith is the one who set this up for us, and we're talking about Professor Keith Taylor. And those of you who don't know Keith, he is a former SWAT officer with NYPD. He's held a lot of different positions within NYPD. He was a professor at John Jay College of law enforcement professor, and he is super into UAPs. The UFO topic dominates his thoughts every day. He's an amazing intellect and person, and I don't think law enforcement could have a better representative than Keith. Do you agree?
Okay.
Yeah.
He's super
Getting
nice. Very connected. He's everywhere. You'll see him in so many different photos with folks out in the kind of the field in this space, and just a really kind person. So
Okay, and Julie's has an issue with prosciutto. She says it's too stringy. Julie, I'm going to recommend maybe Capicola. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Look at Courtney, the Pennsylvania homegirl.
Capocola.
Capicola. Hey, I want a Capicola. All right, so we're going to, before I start talking like a Italian MotoGP rider, so let's move into the phenomenon. I don't know if the Tedesco brothers are going to be here. This has happened before where we invite someone on, they forget, they didn't respond to the text, whatever. They told me this was good. So unless I gave them the wrong date, which is a look, the L is silent. I get what you're saying, Lady Zelda. Lady Zelda should be on here with us. Lady Zelda, if you want to come on, because you know what? Let me send you a link. So I'm going to put the link in the chat, yeah, because Lady Zelda is awesome and she needs to meet you guys. So if you'd like to come on, I'm going to put the link in the chat. And because I think, or I could send it to you on Twitter, right? Yeah, I'll send it to you on Twitter DM. Lady Zelda Kelly. Zelda, there she is. Okay, love. There it is then. Okay, there's the link, Lady Zelda. If you'd like to join us and talk about the phenomenon, you are more than welcome. Okay? There it be. No camera, please. That's okay. I mean, look, I don't ever want to be on camera. I just do it because I want the audience to feel as comfortable with their looks as I don't feel with mine. So anyway, let's get to the phenomenon, Nathan. So, George and Jeremy had on somebody the other day, but I didn't catch that person's name. But he sounded super intelligent and read in. Did you guys hear that episode? Let me see if I can find his name. I guess it was yesterday. That's probably why. But there seems to have been a bit of a stall in the process of disclosure. And now everybody is sort of pinning their hopes on this next hearing, which is September 8th or 9th.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
it's
right?
the
The
9th.
night.
Okay. The 9th, September 9th. And I stand to be slightly skeptical of these. They're supposed to be firsthand witnesses. Am I being overly skeptical?
I mean, I think if history is any sort of teacher here, we need to have temper our expectations. There's a lot of hype usually around these hearings, and if you've been following this topic super closely and you know all the sorts of ins and outs, you're generally going to be a little disappointed. Now that said, you got to leave room for the wild card, the dark horse. There's going to be, potentially some surprise witness that we don't know very well, haven't heard from, who does say something that will be really revealing or interesting, kind of eyebrow raising. I don't have any inside info on who that might be. I just know these things are prone to happen. So I'm excited to see who shows up to these hearings. We heard from Jeremy Corbell that he had given 6 names of firsthand witnesses to the UAP task force, or the UAP caucus, I should say, for them to call to this hearing. So we'll see if they have been able to get in touch with those folks and if those folks have been willing to show up. So fingers crossed. But I also kind of keep the bar low so I don't get super disappointed.
Welcome back to Calling All Beans, Lady Zelda Kelly.
But yeah,
Hello.
I'd like to hear.
Hello, Governor. Hello, Governor.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Governor. I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
We're good. It's good to have you with us. Are you following the UFO stuff pretty closely, Lady Zelda? What's your take on it?
I do, but to an extent. After I saw signs in the birthday party, I just kind of backed off from it for a little bit. But other than that,
memorable.
But oh yeah, I definitely am interested in that for sure. Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah, the parent, but like with your card reading and your tarot reading and your abilities as a psychic, and I know you've worked with police and so forth, is the paranormal something that you're into researching, or do you keep it at arm's length?
Oh no, I research the absolute. No, you can ask anyone in here that is with me during a lot of my lives exactly how deep I research a lot of this. And I was just telling everyone, I don't know, maybe a stream or two ago, that you can even see an example of a UFO in the Bible, in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1. So, yeah, I'm all about it.
I feel what you're saying. I have so many interests. We talked about on your show. We talked about Bigfoot. We talked about UFOs. We talked a little bit about paranormal. I think my co-hosts here, I think all feel that there's a connection between all 3 entities. Is that fair, Deb? Am I speaking? Hi, C Star? Am I speaking too soon on that or no? Deb? Did we lose you? Deb's
Give her a
having a
minute.
lot.
I think she said
yeah,
she
they
was
had
a
to
little
lag
slow.
again. I don't know
Mhm.
why.
You might need to
Can
restart
you
your
hear me now?
computer. Yep, I hear you. Do you find a connection
Yeah.
with paranormal, Bigfoot and
Okay. I was
UFOs?
just going to say that absolutely. I think they're.
Oh, restart, Deb, and come back in. Okay. Send me a link if Bia
Yes.
can
Yes.
mod this raucous crowd.
I shall, but hopefully,
Oh, okay. Jules wants to come in. Yeah, we don't. Here
in the
comes.
meantime, I will
Here
just say.
comes Jules. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if Vinny and Carolina are still there, but they're welcome. Jules, you're welcome to come on in. I can mod myself. So, oh, okay, there you go. Bia's going to do it. Okay. Oh, we lost Deb. Okay. Yeah, she's going to restart, but Julie's going to come in. 'Cause I think Julie has a more stable internet now. And Bia, you're welcome in here too if you want to be in here, because I can mod right from here. That's not an issue. So if you're welcome in. Yeah, because we haven't had you on with the other cabbies. Okay.
Debs just
Um,
disappeared into an alternate realm, like the
she
paranormal.
she did.
So
She did. Yeah. So what it from your sources, Courtney, are you hearing that there is some reticence on the Hill to get diving into this topic deeper because of what Christopher Sharp illuminated for us? I mean, it was over a year ago now. Do you find some validity in that? Do your sources say anything about that?
I haven't seen reticence. Now, I haven't read the latest Liberation Times. I saw that it went out and there were a bunch of comments, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I need to take a look at that. But I'll just speak from, tracking it, is that people have talked about the 4 witnesses who are coming and who they might be, and, firsthand witness. And so a lot of the talk around what's going to be testified into Congress and also what's in the skiff is it going to be the legacy programs? That's what I'm hearing. People are curious about what firsthand witness testimony means. Now, some other people have sent me some resourcing on that of what the new terminology is, according to Chris Mellon and what he put out, publicly. So I think it's going to be interesting. And this is mostly what people are talking about that I'm connected to. They're talking about, is it going to be a legacy program? Is that going to carry through this next hearing? And will it carry through to the skiffs, or is that pretty much a non-issue? So when you say reticence, I'm looking at it as reticence of documentation of the legacy program, following up on the legacy program. The age of disclosure was all about the legacy program, advanced weapons, having that knowledge as a U.S., not only for national defense and security, but also what's going on with drones and things. So it's a complex issue, but I think that's what I've heard mostly is what's going to be testified to, and will that legacy program thread weave through this hearing or not?
Yeah, I'm going to star this one for Standing Stone so I can get to this question. I mean, it seems very likely that that there is some validity to it, because to me, being able to get in a skiff, I just really don't buy that because of what I understand about skiffs without going into detail. I think if they wanted to book an hour in a skiff, or there she is. Hi, Jules. Welcome. Hi. Can you hear
Hi,
us?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just want to say this is a smoke-free zone. I'm just kidding. You're
good to see
welcome
you.
to
Gotcha.
smoke. I'm
Um,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was kidding. Please
well,
smoke.
I would have sacrificed for you, but as long as it's not, then I'm
No,
gonna.
no, I'm kidding. I'm joking. This is, you got to look for these lines to get a line in.
Smoke
That's
them if
all
you
it
got
is.
them. That's what I say. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, anyway, so the situation, I think, is BS. I think if they wanted to book a skiff, whether that's for an hour or 2 hours or whatever the case may be, they could make that happen. Just like I know I could make that happen in a facility if I needed to. So I don't believe them that they can't. If they can't get in a skiff, there must be somebody preventing them from getting in that skiff because they don't want that topic covered. And they can use that as a reason. I didn't think it'd be that hard to get in a skiff, but I guess it is. Well, I don't think it is. And I think if they wanted it to happen, well, obviously, you could schedule your hearing also around when you can get the skiff. So, you know, I believe if it's not happening, there's probably a reason. Maybe Lou could tell me that something different. Maybe he knows somebody on the Hill that's telling him different. And if you do work on the Hill or a staffer on the Hill and you know different, then please let me know. Maybe, maybe I'm wrong, but it's not been my experience with skiffs or my understanding. I want to answer this one real quick from Standing Stones, one of our Karen Reed supporters. DJ, can you talk on the whole drone sightings, thousands we had on mainstream? Does it fall under UFO at all? We did a couple of shows on that at least, and yeah, I think I did a solo show on this as well. I believe yes, there is when you talk about lots of things in the sky. and people are reporting things, a couple of things are going to happen. Somebody is seeing something that they do not recognize. Oh, Deb's back. There we go. Welcome back, Debs. Testing, testing. Debs, can you come in? Over.
1, 2, 3. Testing, testing.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Hit it, Deb. Come
Oh, I
on,
thought
Deb.
that was Deb. I
No.
literally, I was
You
Court.
when you
I
say
did
testing,
too.
when you say testing, testing, you usually say 1, 2, 3.
All right. Hopefully, Debs is going to be able to clear this up. Otherwise, I'll call Comcast while we're on the show. I'll call them from the show. Actually, we can. No, I don't have the studio stuff hooked up. All
Right.
right. So yes, Deb, you there? Yeah, that's the serious delay. I can't hear you.
I hope so.
So the situation. Let me finish answering this question. We'll get back in with Deb. So the situation is this: when someone says, "I'm seeing stuff above my freaking house," and I don't know what the hell it is. It's the size of a freaking Nissan Xterra, for Christ's sakes, and it's hovering over there. So when people start reporting those things, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to have hobbyists that live in that area that are also going to want to launch their drones and see if they can see what you're seeing, especially if they live in the same town, right? You're also going to have authorities like we saw those in New Jersey and Long Island police, those different police agencies launching their drones. So you may see Homeland Security launching their drones. You may be seeing Federal Bureau of Investigation launching their drones. But all those things are happening as a result of wanting to take a look at something that is up there that's likely anomalous. And then what's the last thing? Well, the government is making these really ridiculous, absurd. Oh, we got a Tedesco brother. All right, party people, put your hands together for John Tedesco.
Hey guys,
Where'd it go?
can you guys hear me?
Where's
Yay.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We had to bring in some reinforcements when
Oh,
we didn't hear from you guys.
oh,
But we're
I apologize. I didn't even realize it was on for tonight. It's I was just came in the house, just walked in.
no worries,
My
John.
apologies.
We're happy to have you. You're a New York brother from another mother, and we're honored to have you. I guess I'd like to start off. We're gonna shift gears from answering questions from the chat to asking questions of our guest John Tedesco, who is one of the two Tedesco brothers, along with his brother Gerry, who own a piece of research tech called Nightcrawler. So,
hmm
John, tell us about Nightcrawler. What kind of equipment is in there? Get us like schooled up on your beautiful piece of tech there, kit. Then
Sure,
Nightcrawler.
sure. Well, this is the second iteration of Nightcrawler. The first one was oh boy, it was big as a house, slow as can be. We had multiple cameras on it. We had it couldn't be used on some of the major highways because of the number of cameras that it had. Certainly not on the bridges and that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
we had to retire it. We ended up with the Nightcrawler 2, which was a 30-foot mobile home.
Mhm.
Um, it we actually rebuilt it. We put a Faraday cage into it, instrumented it top to bottom with radar. We have a huge number of sensors on it. Radar, X-band radar in two different
Wow.
geometries. We have multispectral camera systems and a slew of other detection equipment for radiation and electromagnetic interference. We can detect various different spectral wavelengths of light, UV, A, B, and C, and so on. There's, quite a number of equipment over a period of almost 4 years now.
And so, can you quickly kind of just go through that? I know we're going to have various degrees of people with tech understanding in the cast and the audience. But
Mhm.
for example, your X-band radar, could you tell people why you have an X-band radar? And though I am happy that you do.
Sure,
So-
sure. So that was a feat in itself to get the X band. We had to get it cleared through the FCC, and that's not an easy process. It was quite daunting. We're kind of wrestling with them right now to extend it to millimeter wave radar, portable, and I believe we'll have a license for it, but it's not going to be, it's not an easy thing. You really got to do your homework. So the radar is it's very much like what you use on any kind of
Aircraft.
boating equipment. Yeah, it's a standard radar system. It's 9.4 gigahertz in frequency. It scans in the horizontal direction. Then you have another one scans in the vertical direction, and this radar is used for basically in the vertical direction. We want to see something that's crossing our path, north to south. And it gives us about a 4-mile swath. The horizontal radar does a 360-degree scan, roughly about 60 miles out. Smaller objects, size of I would say a small car. We probably got a good range of about 10 miles. Larger
Wow.
aircraft, certainly the size of a commercial airliner. We can see them, as far out as 30 miles, 35 miles. So since we've been using it, we've had intermittent responses with some of these objects that we've been visualizing. And I guess that goes with the territory. Basically, its size, and what other, any other, if there's something that preventing them from giving us a decent return, which may be some kind of stealth design or even gravitational lensing of some sort. But we're getting intermittent profiles with them.
So in other words, for you, something that's really going to perk the ears up of you and your brother is if you are seeing something visually or you're picking it up on one of your visual sensors and the radar is not able to pick it up, that's when your guys go.
Right. So now we're looking at the other equipment. We're looking at the hyperspectral cameras. We have, of course, high magnification cameras, and we'll at times we'll see an object out there, and we'll know that it's probably due to the type of observation that we're getting. Size wise, obviously, that's an issue too. We got a maximum of roughly 4 miles for something the size of a small car.
And that is only going to do so much for you if you're
Right.
seeing a vehicle that's 15 miles away and you know that, and it just basically takes a lot of power, a very powerful radars to scan out to like 20 miles. Like I'm
Sure.
talking aircraft radar. We had
And-
one that could go like 20 miles and we had 90 kilovolt amps generators driving everything.
Right. And a lot of these radars too. It's you're dealing with wavelength restrictions. And,
Right.
marine-based radar is not too bad. You're in the millimeter. You're actually in the microwave, close to the millimeter. But something the size of a car or like biomass, you need something in the millimeter wave. And then those frequencies are upward of 24 gigahertz. So and we're using those too. We actually are using 36 gigahertz radar systems now.
It's awesome, man. So what we're going to do here, John, is the way this works on Cab, we're going to pass it. So this guy right here to my left. So I'm going to pass it to him and Courtney. We have Lady Zelda Kelly, who's a content creator of her own. Then we have Julie, who's our moderator at the bottom, who's been in around the community for years. And then, of course, Deb, who's been around the community for years. So go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah. So John, thanks for joining us. It's good to have you with us.
Sure. Glad to be here.
New York, baby.
It's just really it's impressive what you guys are doing, and hearing you describe it, it's not just passive detection correctly. Like that, there's a lot of active detection object, what I'm looking for here, instruments that you're using. It's not just passive reception.
Sure,
You're
sure.
also pinging the environment with things.
Mhm.
When you're doing that, do you find, or have you had interactions that feel like relational or responsive to that active interaction?
Yes, yes, and we have had times where we almost believe that the pinging of the radar is creating some kind of electromagnetic migration of some sort. We were out there in I believe it was October of 23, where we had our radars operating, and we had objects that were um, basically had a coning pattern towards the antenna. And we decided to move the RV, the mobile laboratory, to another location. And what we found is that as we moved the laboratory, this migrating pattern had changed, and it again lined up with the radome antenna on the radar in a wedge-shaped pattern. So it seemed to move with the mobile laboratory.
What kind of object? I mean, just hypothetically, do you think you're saying it's a cone-shaped either formation or cone-shaped object? Is that
Most of the objects we're seeing out there are orb-shaped. They seem to be a luminous sphere of some sort. Multiple colors. We see them orange, sometimes red, blue, white. There's if you're looking at them in a low luminance mode, with these objects will suddenly go from visible to infrared. And when they do that, you don't see them no longer visible. You'll see them in an infrared hyperspectral camera. And under low luminance settings, we see something that looks like a polyhedron, a rotating polyhedron in the center of it, which is kind of indicative and similar to what Ryan Graves described, one of the Navy pilots.
That's right. That's right.
And roughly about the same size too, between 2 and 4 meters in diameter. And this has been the persistent type of observations we've been making over a period of time. The objects themselves will suddenly disappear. We also know of airline pilots that have documented them coming over the island, and they see them, roughly beneath them, sometimes 1,000 feet from the water, and they suddenly disappear. So it's also a flight safety issue too. The objects themselves that we've seen, sometimes we see them falling out of the sky, and they look like they're heading down towards the water, but never make a splash.
That's like Aguadilla.
Yeah, very strange. A few weeks ago, we recorded an object that tracked across the Atlantic at a distance of roughly not even 300 yards from where we were standing, and this object did not seem to disturb the water at all, and tracked just above the surface. My brother was able to catch it in a thermal camera, and what he saw was a presentation that looked like a perfect sphere. And he said that the temperature was actually colder than the water, and by maybe a fraction of a degree. So it's something very unusual. We watched this object track roughly about 100 yards to the east, and then up the beach, up the sands, about 10 feet high, and then suddenly disappear. And we have this documented. We have this documented too.
I just want to put into context before Courtney goes. We're talking about objects that are not touching the water. They can enter the water, but the water does not need to move out of the way for it to. It's like Nathan doing a cannonball into the pool, but nothing happens.
Right,
Nathan?
Yeah.
Cannonball! So, I mean, this is what's amazing with the craft that don't produce a sonic boom that we've heard about, that are accelerating at what we know are supersonic speeds, but because the air is not touching it, it doesn't create a sonic boom. And now John is talking about what was documented in Aguadilla, and these guys have documented is it goes into the water, but somehow the water doesn't touch it. How that happens, that leads you to believe this is a technology that is not made by human beings. Courtney, please go, ma'am.
Hey, John, I'm so excited that
Hello,
you're
Courtney.
here. I tried to get out to see you guys. I was on Long Island, and of
Oh,
course,
okay.
I had seen your whole thing on your part of your 10-month study when you guys were out there and the light came down and what
Right.
happened next.
Okay.
And so I'm familiar, with your work, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been following you guys. So I have some very specific questions.
Sure.
Even if the audience is not familiar with all your history, I put in on X and on Facebook your history so people could go and look at those interviews and kind of get up to speed.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you about anomalous propagations,
Mm-hmm.
because you brought this up as one of the issues that you guys are looking at, scientifically.
Sure.
So and I listened to you guys, and I was deeply thinking about what happened with the drones, and you guys talked about your radar tracking.
Right.
And you talked about something that you picked up on the radar tracking. And so you described that in great detail to Ross. And so I'm just wondering if you guys have made any progress on that science when the drones came, if you can explain it a little bit to the audience. And then I don't know if I'll get another round in this question. So my second question is about the medical report out on Long Island that you guys had after the paralysis and everything on the beach. So I just wanted to
Right.
find out how to track that down, or if you guys could share that information for other people who have had any kind of injuries or anything from close encounters.
Right. Right. As far as the medical issues, this is something that we didn't get a follow up on that right away, which we should have done. We were advised that it should have been done early on. We had actually talked to some neurologists. There was some experts we talked to in the UK that gave us some guidance. They explained that some infrared energy is associated with this kind of paralysis. But of course, a lot of research has to be done with it, and they're exploring that much further at this point. We don't know if it was infrared that was involved, or microwaves that were involved, or something else. But it was almost like a surgical strike. I mean, when I say that we had no control of anything below our waist, I mean that was it. We couldn't coordinate any of our functions. It happened to me before my brother, basically a second or two before he experienced the same symptoms. And when I collapsed down to the sand, I just couldn't coordinate my legs. I couldn't get them under me to pick myself back up. And I was able to manipulate my upper body, but nothing below my waist. And what we did see is during that whole time, the camera was sitting next to me. I grabbed the lunar optics camera. I looked through it, and I saw these huge flashes of IR energy that were not visible to the naked eye at all. My brother recorded it in his camera as well, which looked like something like a chevron pattern on the sand, but only in maybe 2 or 3 frames worth of video. And the videos were truncated. The files weren't corrupted; they just continued to record, but there was missing segments of time in the recordings themselves. We saw these objects. I saw this object moving out at sea after I had struck it with an IR emitter, illuminating it because I could see it in the optics. When I hit it with an IR beam, I could get reflection back from the object. So I knew it wasn't that far out there. And I was quite surprised when the object stopped rotating and I could see this luminous reflection, this glinting that suddenly stopped, and it looked like a rectangular window. And within a matter of seconds, this window moved quickly onto the shore and overloaded both cameras, my brother's and mine. And I assume at that point that the object was near us or over us at that point. And The cameras malfunctioned to some extent. Some of the macros were changed. Some of the permanent EEPROM settings, the memory settings in the cameras were altered. And I used to be a consumer electronic service technician, so I've seen a lot of this kind of disturbance, which normally occurred after an electrical storm, where you would have a sudden transient in the atmosphere, and this high voltage electrostatic energy would cause, or EMI would cause the cameras, or in this case, whether it was a television or an audio system, to basically reset the memory or wipe the memory out. So once they were reinitialized, they were okay, but something altered that memory, and it takes a high voltage program pulse in order to do that, or a transient. So there was definitely some unusual activity around the electronics as well. Also a battery discharge.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think
Mhm.
it's so important for people to understand what you guys encountered in the medical side and the motor issues. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really good, especially talking about UAPs, about what happens, in these events. So the other question was about anomalous propagation.
Yes.
And you don't
Sure.
have to go into great detail, but it's something I picked up
Mhm.
from watching your interviews after the drones. I thought it was very enlightening. So if you could just kind of recap what you guys found and if you made any progress.
Sure. So we've been continuing that research. We've actually been working on and off with another set of researchers. There's a guy named Chad Wanless, I guess, up in Canada, that is doing research with Alcubierre warp drives. And along those principles, we had kind of suspected that this might be the same effect, is that these objects are producing a gravitational lensing or a warping of space-time around them, and causing chromatic disturbances of light. Also, anything that's in the electromagnetic spectrum, whether it's light energy or it's radio waves or anything within the spectrum, is basically conforming to that same distortion. And we believe that these apparitions with the light, we're also seeing it in the radio waves. So we have late responses from the radar. We have what they call long delay echoes, LDEs, which has been a phenomenon that's been around for quite a while, believe it or not, going back to the 1930s. So this kind of phenomena is basically it causes a refraction or a bending of the radio waves to where they take much longer to return, or they're fragmented, and they're fragmented in such a way that we get multiple echoes, and that's what we're seeing on our scopes. So, nothing else seemed to make sense. We contacted various different manufacturers, Furuno radar systems, that they if they knew anything about it, and according to them, there's nothing that they know of that would cause something like that. And they said maybe it's a reflection from another ship radar, But like I said, we've been out there at times, and the only time that this seems to happen is when we're doing a long scan, looking at something that's roughly about 20 miles away, or maybe a large ship on the horizon, and we see these objects in the line of sight between the radar scanner and the ship. And when that happens, we start to get these weird propagation patterns and interference issues. And to where we kind of suspected that it's the object itself that's causing these kind of oddities.
That's where we get into that known physics.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's
No.
that's the taboo.
Finally, we got somebody on here with an authentic New York accent, because when we have Ian Doley, he sounds like he's from freaking Westchester. For
That's
Christ's
right.
sakes.
Don,
Come on, James.
and just before I go, when DJ was breaking away trying to get you guys on, and it was just Nathan and Deb and I said, I think John and Gerry have a future with car talk, UAP car talk, where people
Yes.
call in and they're like, hey, you know, I have this trouble with a UAP in my backyard. And you guys are like, what does it sound like? What is it?
You,
Is it
you need to clean
knocking?
the
Is it
injectors out.
knocking? Is it
Obviously,
rattling?
you just need to flush out the injectors.
Well,
So,
I used to do that in the television when I was doing commercial electronics. I used to deal with customers all the time.
I love it, man. You guys are so authentic. You're like a great Italian sandwich from Cole's Market in Montrose. All right, we're going to go to Lady Zelda Kelly, and then we're going to go to Boston Bia. My co-host from True Crime has a question. But Lady
Mhm.
Zelda, do you have something for John before we go to Bia and then the Jewel?
Yes, just really quickly. Thank you so much for
Sure.
having me. And it's
Oh,
very nice to meet you,
oh,
John.
same here.
My primary field of study is the paranormal, but
Mhm.
I believe they really can coexist together, running parallel, if nothing else. But my
Right.
question for you is, what do you feel the key areas of research that you would like to see more focus of in your UAP UFO field of studies? And basically, what are the scientific methodologies you would really like to see employed in making any progress?
Right. So with something like this, I think you can't avoid, paranormal, um, paranormal research, paranormal studies. Obviously, paranormal is because we simply don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, this is something that has to be explored. I know a while back, I remember Lou Elizondo basically making a comment when in one of our conferences that we have to be open-minded
Yeah.
and we have to look at everything, including the paranormal, when it comes to UAP.
Okay.
And I've heard this over and over again. Some of the experiences that we've had certainly opens up those doors. Very, very unusual context to the way we see things and analyze things, and even some of the instrumentation is gives us some odd results. So, this is something we need to explore, and we need to explore it through science.
Yes.
It requires instrumented studies. Obviously, it requires an open mind. But we also got to realize that that what we know about classical mechanics, may not cover the whole thing. It doesn't give us straight answers.
That's right.
And there's a lot more to it, and maybe it's just our understanding isn't there.
I think
Is it?
so too. And for me, it's a primary. I mean, I always go back just to the basic binary system and using a spirit box,
Right.
and getting some type of frequency through that. Just as a beginning, I'm certainly not equipped to do much more than any of that type of research, but it's so fascinating. And I believe that both areas, and before you came on, I've had many conversations about, even in the Bible, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, there talks about the Ezekiel describing a UFO,
Mm-hmm.
amber colored bronze, and this sort of thing. And when you said about the elongated window that you mentioned with you and your brother, it describes that, and it's so fascinating. So I mean, it talks about seeing a being, individual, I don't know, angel maybe, I don't
Right.
know,
We
but
also had some physical manifestations.
yeah, but it basically talks, it's fascinating because it talks about a being that when the craft goes in one direction,
Mm-hmm.
the being stays still. It does not look like it is affected in any way. It goes, I'm going to say the inertia, maybe that's wrong, of the being goes right along with that. It's fascinating to me. So thank you so much for answering my question and having me on here. I
Of course.
appreciate it so much. And maybe you never know. Maybe we get to talk again sometime.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is an area I'd like to explore further. It's you know,
I can connect you too, for sure.
That'd be
sure,
great. John, if
Yeah.
you'd like to come on my show.
absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness, I would
Sure.
be so honored if you would do that because yeah, people ask me about UFOs all the time, and all I have my experience is from Newport, Tennessee. There is an area there that they are prevalent. You can go sit on a ridge and watch them come and land and go back out again. And I don't know what it is there, but it is like there's something that draws them to that particular area in that county. So I don't know.
Well, I'd like
Yeah.
to make a suggestion for you, Lady Z.
Sure.
And John, because one of the things that Donna, one of their associates who was out there for the 10-month study at Robert Moses Park, talked about was her after effects. And she talked about that very clearly in her interview. And that might be a nice segue for you guys to
Oh, that'd be
link up.
great.
Absolutely.
So anyway, just a suggestion for a show
Thank
idea.
you, Courtney. Thank
You
you
bet.
so much. That is great. Thank you. Thank you.
That's why
I
we call her
appreciate
Courtney Connected.
there you go. And thank you, Governor, for having me on here. I'm so appreciative. I'm going to go have a cup of cola now. So
All right.
y'all go ahead. Yeah, I'm
Have
going to
a
have a
cup
cup
of
of
cool,
cola.
Lady Zelda. All
That's
right.
right. That's right. I'm going to mute now. But thanks a lot, John.
Thank
Feel
you.
free to please come on my show at any time. I think
Absolutely, absolutely.
this will be a lot of fun. Thanks again. Okay.
I'll talk to you, Lady Z. I'll
All
connect
right,
you.
my darling. I'm
Bye,
still
bye,
here.
darling.
Bye.
All right, so we got some quick hitters. We got a couple in the chat for you, John. So this is
Okay.
from our my co-host on True Crime, Boston Bia says, "Are you tracking things more happening at night, or is it irrespective of time of day?"
Mostly we track, and I think it might just be the sensitivity of the equipment at night. You know, of course, night vision cameras. You know that they're really no good during the day. We are using a camera right now. It's a more expensive upper line camera. It's a shortwave infrared, and it's more of an instrumented camera for examining certain materials and so forth under laboratory conditions. Shortwave infrared, you know, when it's looking at sources of moisture or water or that sort of thing, there's zero reflectivity from that stuff, and those kind of cameras we can look up into the skies, you know, on a clear day, and if there is something that doesn't have the same moisture, if you're looking at cloud layers and that sort of thing, they can be easily seen. And the same thing can be said for the ocean. You know, the ocean would come up basically as a black surface, a dark surface, and anything else would be so much lighter if it's floating on the surface, that sort of thing. So it's easier to see with a shortwave infrared type system, which is different from, of course, near infrared or far infrared, which is thermal.
You guys are like, for a tech guy, you guys are just, I can't even, do you know what I mean? Like, what you guys know, what you've studied and researched, and then created and actualized in this vehicle, I think is why Keith, you know, we were talking about Professor Keith Taylor
Yeah,
before you
Steve
came
Taylor.
on,
Yep.
your
Mm-hmm.
friend who's
Sure.
gotten to go out with you guys a number of times. It's, I really don't have the words for what you guys have done. I think that's why Ross freaks out. Everybody freaks out when they talk to you guys, because you guys have built this. Like, hold on. Let me do this real quick. It's just, you know,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Go ahead. All right. So we got Bia's question in. Let me get Jules in there. All of you in the chat. So I just want to let you know, those of you in the chat, we have you starred Standing Stones. We're going to ask this one. For the folks on screen, we've got you Rocker Chick, and we've got In Lamonine. So we've got all your questions starred, but let me get to Julie and Deb before they kick me off the show. Go ahead, Jules, please.
Well, I met you and your brother a long time ago when you first debuted your experience, and I thought it was fascinating then. But now I'm picking up more than I did at that time, like this window thing, because I saw an orb that was quite large in the daytime, that had a bright light that turned into a rectangular window and had beautiful human people in it. And this was when I was a child in Indiana. And so it's really resonating with me. But the thing I want to ask you is, did you have any kind of effects afterwards? Like I can't wear a watch. I affect electronic things. You got zapped. I want to know, have things happen to you in the time after that you have noticed that are bizarre? And also, what kind of power source do you use to run all this stuff
Yeah,
in your RV?
exactly.
I am terribly interested in that.
Right,
That's
right.
a great question.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
was, what's unusual is that not so much me, but Gerald. If he's wearing electronic, watches or instrumentation around him, it seems like they somehow the batteries don't seem to last. And I'm not sure if there's if there's any explanation there that would make any sense. He's gone through a number of watches and that sort of thing. I've had some experiences, especially at home, with some called the hitchhiker, where we had an episode where streetlights have gone out, and but I think it was actually due to possibly an object that was above the mobile laboratory at that time, and it actually tripped the photo sensors on top of the streetlights. Utility power was never shut down, but but
the lights go out one
the
by
lights
one,
themselves.
right?
Yeah, there
But
was
the
about four street lights that shut down simultaneously, within a fraction of a second of each other. And I do
Yep, been
believe
there,
that
done
was
that.
very unusual. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been pushed. I've been pushed in, up against the camper.
Yeah, I have somebody here that said she has an experience.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
No,
I think
please.
just for you
Please,
guys, I
come
think
on
it
in.
is
Yep.
Please.
officially called
Yeah.
interference.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
called
having some
interference
physical
syndrome.
manifestation.
Yeah, and like I said, she's not the only one. We've had other researchers that have had the experience too. We have another researcher who was a Navy guy, a Navy officer for quite a while. At his house, he had a looked like an orb that suddenly appeared in his backyard, and that night there was a full moon, and he was trying to differentiate whether or not it could have been a reflection or a refraction from somewhere. Couldn't find that at all. And he went and got his camera, and he said this orb all of a sudden would just start moving off his property, and he could actually see it moving between the trees at a distance, roughly about maybe 600 or 700 feet from him. The object itself suddenly disappeared, and he showed the object, and he compared it to the size of the moon. And he says a full moon that night, it roughly had the same field of view as the moon. It had that roughly that same size, and which was relatively close to where he was observing this stuff.
I'm gonna tell you, man,
Cool.
the sightings. I mean, we've had a number of people on here that have had sightings. A couple in the chat. I had one up in Peekskill, if you remember the flap in the '80s with the UFO wave.
Yes. Yep.
I saw one very briefly, but not life changing, but moving away, just seeing it, and it's pretty freaky just to see one. But we got a couple more. Well, let me get Debs in there, and then we're going to go to the questions that are in the chat.
No,
So,
no, no. Power
Debs,
source. Power source first.
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
DJ,
what
I
is
want to
your
know
power
the
source?
power source.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So our power sources, we actually have two generators on board on the RV. It's we have a large 4,800 watt generator on the back. We have smaller generators underneath, and we have a bunch of high capacity batteries, which some are lithium, some are lead, and we have inverters as well. So we have multiple different power sources, and we've had experiences where you know,
Well,
where
your
these power
house
sources.
went there.
Yeah, she's just or my guest here is just reminding me that
Yes.
we had a power source that actually shut down one night, and the batteries that were fully charged were down to minimal, and we actually had to restart a generator that shut down in order to recharge them. So we have
That,
had some experiences out here.
and basically you
Yeah,
think that was
I relate
anomalous.
because
Yeah. Go ahead, Jules. Yeah, please.
I was going to say I
Go.
relate because we run on solar here and we have gone through so many battery banks. It's unreal. And
Mhm.
I think it's because of the phenomenon or because of me or something, but we just kill batteries left and right. And I was
Mhm.
wondering how y'all ran so much, equipment and kept it going because it couldn't be easy if you've got that much activity.
No,
Right,
it
right.
can't be. Not with all those systems. It
No,
couldn't be.
no, we
Yeah.
use a lot of energy out
Very
here. Yeah.
expensive.
Use a lot of energy.
Let
Yeah.
me get Debs in here.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Debs.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to read
You're
Deb's.
welcome.
Deb actually typed her questions. I'm going to read it for her because she's
Please
worried
do.
about her lag. So Deb is asking, with other scientists like Kevin Knuth and Jack Sarfati proposing theories about UAP physics, are you guys seeing any evidence supporting those theories or other theories that you're hearing about? Anything that's kind of holding water in terms of the theoretical, physics or behavior of these objects?
Right, right. I've heard a number of them, and I think that everything at this point is on the table until we can evaluate it and dismiss it. It's like I said, some of the more interesting theories is the most recent is of course the Alcubierre drive. But when it comes to the warping of space time and that sort of thing, which I definitely feel is a byproduct of these devices, whether or not you can refer to them as like small black holes in some respects. They seem to be gravitational lensing, and a lot of the visuals that you see some of the imagery data, the video data is not very clear, and which I think is indicative of some kind of a lensing effect that is basically making it very difficult, to get any kind of clarity out of these type of devices, the consumer devices. There are some filter arrangements I know astronomers have done it to actually get some more detail out of a gravitational lens. So you have to play with the light quite a bit, but that's something that still has to be explored.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, it seems there's a lot of theories. I've heard that Hal Puthoff has some really good theories, and it's just being able to prove them out. I think has been the most difficult part. We have to make a lot of assumptions about what's out there, about the technologies that they're using, and only I think the only conclusion that I've come to is that it's beyond what we understand as physics. Although I think there's some solid theories, I don't think we know exactly how these technologies work.
Hmm. No,
Is that
no,
is that fair?
yes, absolutely. I mean, we're in a period of knowing as a lot of our physical sciences have changed quite a bit over the last 10 years or so, and we're just getting to a point where we're just getting to a deeper understanding of this stuff. And of course, with the advent of the possibility of reverse engineering and that sort of thing, and I think that also has been changing our understanding as far as how the physical world works. A lot of it is related to science fiction, which is science fact actually. You know, I've heard many different scenarios and theories about this kind of information is coming in the form of writers and that sort of thing that are sharing this kind of information and expertise for these certain movies and dramas and that sort of thing that are presenting this information and disseminating it down over a period of time.
right, so I have two questions for you that we'll try to get through quickly. We have some questions in the chat, and then we're going to go back to Money Nathan because we have about 20 minutes left if you'll grace us with that.
Sure.
If you have the time. Okay. All right. So this has been a discussion and debate in the community since I've been in it. Ross obviously was told that that the Tic-Tac craft, particularly the 2004 craft, was a Lockheed created and built technology. Then he
Mhm.
kind of walked it back a little bit after that. So, in your opinion, straight up question: do you believe that humans have been able to actualize and fly, operate? So those are two different things. Build and fly. Two
Right.
very, very different things. Build and or fly a craft that has the technological capability of the Tic Tac. And when we talk about the Tic Tac, we're talking about a craft that went up above the radar scope of the Spy 1, up above
Sure.
80,000 feet,
Hmm.
down to 50 feet at one point, from 28,000 feet to 50 feet in 0.78 of a second. And then, most notably and most importantly, of that entire encounter was that when Fravor pointed his aircraft after they were in that 180-degree, let's just call it a Mexican standoff, he
Hmm.
pointed his aircraft at that Tic Tac. It physically disappeared from sight. And at the very moment it disappeared from daytime visible sight, it also disappeared from the Spy 1's radar and then reappeared. So
Right.
we have a correlation. One is, well, both are incredible, but you have seen craft that you could pick up on radar and craft that you couldn't pick up on radar. What you haven't seen during daytime that I know of is a craft that you could visually see and then just disappeared. And maybe you have seen that. But do you believe that humans could either build or fly a Tic Tac craft that has those capabilities?
Well, I think it's something that you have to be. I think say we'd have to be open to. We have to be. We have to acknowledge. I mean, it's been around. If this is reverse engineering, has been going on for over 80 years. I think it's a distinct possibility. I work for some high tech corporations too, and these some of these folks, they get their hands on this stuff. There may be a learning curve in there, but over that period of time, a lot can be learned. Especially if they have these sheer numbers of craft that they claim they do. Um, you know, uh, what aspects and what I mean, early on there was probably a much more of a challenge to try to break them down and reverse engineer them and dissect them. But that over time, like anything, as we understand the technology, those veils are lifted. And it's much easier to try to understand what's going on. It's a possibility that there's it's man-made, that some of these crafts, or it's being operated by man in some way,
Yeah, but then what
because of
happened to Betty and Bonnie
our
Hill?
understanding of the object
What about
itself.
Betty and Bonnie Hill?
Mm, that's a little different, but
Betty and Bonnie Hill. I mean, they had the experience.
yeah, but we're talking about reverse craft right now. It's
Yeah, but it all led to this now.
Well,
so
what Ross said was that was a Lockheed made product.
yes,
And that leads into, and I'm not going to gum up the space here because of the time
yeah,
we have left with it, because you and I can actually have this as a one-on-one discussion. But I come from a military aviation background, and for like half my career.
mhm,
And we're not only talking about having craft, but we're talking about entering a Lockheed product that entered restricted naval airspace, conducted operations for several days, then was in a dogfight where somebody could have gotten hurt.
right.
And somebody wants me to believe
That's it.
that
Yeah,
Lockheed Martin was operating that craft, which would be illegal to do in naval working airspace, and that the U.S. government didn't know about it. And then Fravor gets into the dogfight. And what if he went splash? Then
right.
he's got,
And
oh, well, sorry, we were testing out, and these. Yeah, we lost an FA-18 and Air Wing commander in the water, and these things just don't happen.
Right.
Those test flights are very closely coordinated, contracted
Sure.
by the government in coordination with the government, and they're not just, hey, let's go in the Navy airspace and see what happens with our new project. Like
I
that's
think
not
that
something that they would do.
I think that was Chris Mellon's argument too. That this is
It
something
was.
that wouldn't occur over a Navy training area or anything like that. It's that would kind of be taboo at this point. I mean, it's but you know, I think Ross also mentioned that he wasn't. He said it was a combination of the both. Could be man aircraft, and he says then he's kind of like I said, maybe backpedal a little bit. Said that they were a combination of extraterrestrial or whatnot. Not
He
man.
walked it back from
Yeah,
that was a Lockheed Martin made craft to
yeah,
it was so like I said, you and I can have this as a
yeah.
one-on-one because there's other
Sure.
people that want to get on in the conversation.
Yeah.
Real quickly, if you could finish this sentence for me. My brother and I got into investigating UFOs because
Because of a long interest in it. I mean, this is something that we've been interested in since we were kids. We've had some experiences as kids as well that basically shined a light on this stuff, and twins also. There's a psychic thing between them too. Believe it or not, And
Mhm.
growing up, we've had many experiences that we've had shared memories and shared thoughts and that sort of thing, and precognition, so future events, that haven't happened yet, obviously, and I'm open to a lot of this stuff, and it kind of paved the way, and of course, back then, we were all dreamers, and
Mhm.
big in science fiction, that sort of thing. I mean, spent a lot of time behind that television. Watching
Hell
the
yeah, Star
program.
Trek was my
Sure.
favorite show
Star
growing
Trek.
up.
Yep.
So, oh
Yep.
hell yeah,
One of my
on
favorites.
on channel 11 WPIX when we
Yes.
were kids, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
same for me.
Exactly.
All right, let
Lost
me
in
turn it over
space.
to Money. Hell yeah, every 6 o'clock. Nathan, go ahead, brother.
Yes.
I was muted there. Sorry about that. So, but yeah,
Star Trek salute.
big fan as well. So, I'm curious what your thoughts are on. Do you think that these objects are ubiquitous? They're literally kind of everywhere. It's just a matter of looking for them, or are they localized to certain hotspots? What's your thought on that?
I'm not so sure about the hotspots. I mean, we thought that even Robert Moses, that might have been a hotspot. I mean, for a period of time it was. We don't get as many observations as we were getting in the past, frequent observations. But there's also been a lot of changes down there too. They did a large dredging operation offshore, and after the dredging operation, some of the activities settled down to some extent. But there's other parts of the beach, other parts of Long Island that we have seen, even greater activity, especially further out east toward Montauk Point, near Camp Hero, and on the North Shore. And that also, on the North Shore, of course, you got Connecticut on the other side, and there's been a lot of reports in that area, especially the last one it was on News Nation about a police officer had an encounter with some kind of an orb or a plasmoid or something, which is directly across from our shore from Port Jefferson.
Just to give the audience a little picture of Long Island, there is where Robert Moses Park is. That two
Mm-hmm.
people have alluded to, Courtney and John, and then Montauk is way out here on the end of the island, right here. Beautiful areas of
Right.
Long Island. So
Mhm.
there you go.
Amazing.
No extra charge for that, Nathan. That was free.
That was really good. Man. Thank you. John, thanks for your response on that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And the
Court.
hitchhiker effect too.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say, Jules?
No, I was just talking about that.
Oh,
I was telling John to talk about the hitchhiker effect.
Yeah.
Because we've had
yes.
it here, and I've had some physical manifestations along with him. So I
That
don't
was
know,
a
that's
question.
to come.
That was a question in the chat. So we have a couple questions. So prosciutto sandwich said, and I think John, I don't know if he's averse to a prosciutto sandwich, but have you guys had any long-term physical issues? It sounds like your friend there has had a hitchhiker effect. Have you guys had any physical issues after the paralysis, etc.?
I don't know if I can relate it to that. I mean, I've had some, heart related issues, some neurological issues that have I've followed up with after the fact. Whether or not I can, associate it with that, I really can't. Not certainly not without a detailed medical exam or something like
Yeah,
that.
we
But
did,
but
Lynn had a heart
but
attack and triple bypass after this.
yeah, she had also had an issue with a heart as well. But this is something that again, it's um, could be related to some extent. I don't know. I mean, I know after we had the experience, 24 hours later, we had lymph nodes that was swollen. I had them under my armpits. My brother had it in his neck area, and we had significant amount of fatigue for several days afterwards. So and that's obviously associated with the event.
Well, people can get fatigued just from doing a YouTube show with me. So there could be, I mean,
Sure.
like you're probably going to see after this, Nathan can say, I had several days of fatigue. Courtney, Lady Zelda, Julie, Debs. So that, there could be just you being on the show, you might experience fatigue after this. Thank you, Lady Zelda, for becoming a member. So in Limonene,
My
as
pleasure.
are the scans. When you're doing a scan, are you pointing in a specific place for any reason? When you guys go out, I think what you mean, because obviously if they see something, they're gonna, when they pick something up with one sensor, they're gonna direct their other
Sure.
sensors to see if they could pick it up. That's the
Right.
way ships do it, aircraft do it.
Yep.
So,
Slew
is
the
there any
queue.
intention?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
slew the
Yeah.
queue.
Yep. Slew the queue. So we generally do that with radar. Radar will trigger other sensors, the camera systems to basically track the object that's in the field of the radar. We've trained that for our cameras. Some of our detection equipment too, our multispectral detectors. We've been training that stuff in a specific area and expanding that area because we know that there's sudden movement with these objects, and we've had at times where an object would appear in one camera that could have been 30 to 40 degrees out of view of another camera, and it would pick up that same object. So they can move very, very quickly, instantaneously, almost like ping pong balls. So this is the kind of things that we've been observing, and the speed of these objects. We don't know what the speed limit is. Is it the speed of light or is it faster? If it's faster than the speed of light, it's certainly not going to behave very well with lidar or radar or anything like that. It's that's something that's going to be it's going to be fractional at best to see those kind of objects. But those are the kind of things that we're not sure, we don't know about. And it's I've heard a lot of reports about it. From some of the Navy pilots. We've had significant conversations with Ryan Graves. He was actually out with us at Robert Moses at one point. Him and his crew, and we spent a night out there. So we certainly had a lot to talk about at that point. We've also had people like Gary Nolan out there as well. So it's these kind of things. It's like I said, very, very unusual, and I think the sciences aren't there to explore it very well, and it's it's a learning curve. I think it's a learning curve for pretty much everybody, including academia.
And so, just for the audience, so John is like any sensor operator in the military, whether that person is on a naval vessel or that person is on an aircraft and they have multiple sensors. You have your sensors pointed out in a particular area, and when one sensor is picking up something, you take the rest of your array and you start aiming it in that direction to see what you can pick it up on. And on a visual sensor, you're going to flip through modes to see what is going to give you the best resolution and the best picture of what you're looking at. And John
Exactly.
and his brother have obviously, I'm sure Ryan Graves is like, yeah, man, that's exactly what we would do. So, or my backseater would do.
Sure.
So this question right here from Rocker Chick. Hey man, Canada, oh Canada. She says, it seems like there have been more sightings and UAP activity lately, or is it because of social media and people feeling more comfortable about sharing experiences? Would you like to make an attribution there, John?
Yes, I would say that the activity has stepped up. I believe it's stepped up. We're hearing a lot more about it. I understand a lot of people have, of course, cell phone cameras and that sort of thing, and they're paying attention to it now. A lot more than they have. But I do believe that we've also had an increase of these sightings and presentation of these objects.
There you have it. And these guys have been studying it, so they're able to probably collect data on the trends of how much they're seeing and whether
Sure.
it has increased over the past 5 years. Or how many years have you been doing this?
About 4 years now.
4 years. Okay, over the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
This question, I tried to answer this, but I feel like you are better placed to answer this than I am. And this is from Standing Stones. And they're saying, forget about DJ and that part of it. Can you talk about the whole drone sightings, thousands we've had on mainstream? Does it fall under UFO at all? So basically, what they're asking you is, with all those drone sightings, and you guys were literally on the front lines and being interviewed by news agencies, were there legitimate UAP in that? What do you think? What do you attribute that to? What during that drone flap in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, etc.?
Right. So, I believe that drone flap, of course, it's happened all over the world. It's not just related to, to North America and or the one coast to the other. I mean, it's this is something that we've been seeing on a regular basis. And back in November of 2022, we actually had a high number of incursions over the southern coast of Long Island. And we were out there, and we felt the activity was unusual, and certainly not presenting like what we had seen, prior to that. Early November, we started seeing objects that would appear in the sky from 6 o'clock until roughly 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then you'd see it settle down. It wasn't the same. Air traffic, presentations that we're seeing. And we noticed that these other objects were much more visible than the objects that we've been seeing all along, these orb-like objects.
Right.
When these objects were out there, when these drone-like objects, and I say drone-like for a reason, because I don't know what they are.
Right.
They would have these high-intensity lights trained on these orbs. We would watch them in these surveillance type patterns back and forth over the water. Actually, it looked like to me like they were surveilling these orbs.
Wow.
So I mean, and this is the kind of presentation that we saw. We looked out. We contacted various different agencies. We couldn't get anybody to give us any kind of information on it, or claim to know anything about it, or take responsibility for it. But during that time, it lasted roughly about 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, it would just end or settle down to a point where we were seeing very few. And occasionally, we do see objects that for some reason seem to be appearing over highways. And they just presenting themselves for long periods of time, and then slowly moving away. But the objects that we saw, would fly for hours at a time, which is certainly not typical of drones. And we're extremely quiet. Produce no sounds at all. We even had unusual thermal reflections from them. Or no reflections in this case, where
Right. You're seeing no heat,
no
no
thermal signature at
dynamic.
all.
Right.
And that's something that is kind of hard to swallow, because the thermal cameras that we use are sensitive to down to a fraction of a degree. So you should see something that is presenting, even if it's a tenth of a degree cooler or warmer.
Yeah. I mean, that's an indicator of a technology that is not consistent with what we know that a propulsion system requires, down to a drone, which even the battery pack and the electric motor,
Sure.
these guys can see that. They can see that and go, I see the heat from the battery, and I see the heat from the 4, 8, or 10, however many motors it has on there. And when
Mhm.
you don't see that, that's when, again, the hair stands up on the back of your neck, and these guys get excited and they say, we're seeing something anomalous.
Right.
There's also one thing that I want to share with you guys, with the whole crew, because I don't think I've spoken with anybody. Hello, kitty cat. That's spoken with anybody from Cab about this, but I saw a YouTube video of a girl she was down at like Doral Golf Course, and you see her with her camera and she's panning. You're seeing palm trees. She's panning up, and she's seeing something that looks like, picture Aguadilla, a sort of orb shaped, shape shifting object moving through the sky.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, it forms into what looks like an aircraft shape. And an aircraft, I mean like a fighter aircraft, but the lights on the bottom that were pointing down at her in the camera are not consistent with lights that you would see on an aircraft. It looked like someone was trying to fake what a fighter, an F-16 or an
Right.
F-18 would look like from the bottom, because there's only very specific lights on the bottom, and it basically comes down to an anti-collision light that you'd have like top and bottom that you would use for landing or when you're flying through Class A, Class B airspace, but not something necessarily that you would use if you're in combat. These, you could see the whole bottom outline of the aircraft, and I'm like, and then she said, "You see that?" Then she'd pick up another one, and it would
Mhm.
be this sort of orbish looking thing. And then all of a sudden it would morph, and you'd see an airplane. Now,
So,
if she faked that and she's talking to the camera, you can see the golf flags and and then she'd pan up and you'd see this. If she faked that, she fooled me, but I don't. Has anyone seen those videos?
yes, I have. I have.
Blow your mind
Yes,
or
yes.
no? Yes?
Unusual, very, very unusual. It's you know, uh, I'm not, I'm not quite sure whether this was even some kind of a military distraction, with high tech aircraft. There's so many possibilities. And I've been thinking about it, quite a bit, and it's you know, we understand, some of the oddities about it as far as our instrumented data. Some of the stuff that it doesn't align with prosaic aircraft at all. But you kind of wonder whether or not this is some high tech version of it, possibly through reverse engineering or something along those lines, but to serve as a distraction for what was really out there, and in huge numbers. I mean, I hear I hear certain people especially during that drone flap, is that people were describing orbs as drones too.
Hmm.
There was a lot of confusion.
Sure. They're
And
just using a generic word.
yes, exactly. And it's and I would look and see if, in my eyes, they were orbs and they weren't drones. Although there were, quite a bit of other aircraft out there. Um, and you know, and again, I just wonder whether or not that was a distraction, because there was such a high number of spheres, or some kind of plasmoids or something along those lines that
What
were
about the
presenting
cloud?
themselves, on a regular basis.
What about the
It was
plasma
really
you put on top? You held your hand on top
Robin,
of
you
the
can't.
plasma?
Please don't interrupt like
No,
that.
I'm
Please.
sorry, but I'm just talking about the plasma that you and Gerald were, down there. And Donna was like, telling you, move this way, move that way. And you touched the plasma on the beach.
Right, but yeah, we can't verify that at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
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 It's
This is
yeah.
I can't even I really can't put my finger on it. I wish I had bookmarked that tweet, which I think linked me to a YouTube,
Mhm.
but I'm watching it and then it's changing from one shape and then all of a sudden it looks like an airplane. And but
Right.
it would look like you've heard in Bigfoot research, people would say, I've heard a barred owl. I know what a barred owl sound like, and I know when it's a Bigfoot trying to imitate a barred owl or another animal that they would. And this kind of looks like the lights on the bottom of it, of which I'm very familiar with military lighting. That's what's required by the FAA. What we would install that we would want to use for covert operations or semi-covert operations or blacked out operations that can't be seen with the naked eye. And this lighting was really weird, as if it outlined the whole bottom of the aircraft, the horizontal stabilizers, the single engine, everything. And it was like, it looked like someone trying to fake what a fighter aircraft would look like, that absolutely a real F/A-18 or F-16 or F-15 would not have that lighting on the
Right.
bottom of it. If I were looking up like so, and I'm looking up right now, you would not see that any aircraft that would have that lighting scheme. There's no
Right.
reason to have that lighting scheme. In fact, obviously, in any combat, that's how you get shot at, is when you're lit up. So the FAA requires you to have certain lighting, landing lights, position lights, which is green is on your right wing, red is on your left wing. You've seen that. um, Navigation lights, landing lights, and anti-collision. And that's all you have to have. This
Mhm.
thing made it look like it was very strange. It was like it was almost like there was an intelligence. It was like, oh, look, we can look like one of those too, or we can make our craft look like one of those.
Right.
Now that could be
But it was
total
like
bunk, but that was,
it,
yes, Jules, go ahead, ma'am.
it was like the entire body of the aircraft was glowing from within. I saw those pictures too, DJ, and it was like
Yeah.
the entire body of the aircraft was glowing from within, which
Something
makes no sense.
something
You
weird. Yeah,
know,
something that's not consistent with me. So, but I just was wondered if, and it looks like a couple of you have seen it. Anyway, we got to get out of here because it is 7:38. Nathan is well past his bedtime. I imagine his kid. Yeah, and Rebecca's coming in. Nathan, John Tedesco. It has been an honor, sir. We're going to do our cabbie
Same here.
goodbyes, starting with Courtney, and then working our way around.
So I just want the people in the back channel and the private chat to document that I put in the question about the twins before John answered it. Just a little metacognition thing going on, because I knew we weren't going to have enough time for it. And I said, hey, I really want this question if there's time, but you answered it, John. So
Oh.
I just would like to say my most sincere thanks. I've really been looking forward to this interview, following up with you guys about the developments that have been going on since the interview in News Nation, and you just nailed it. And I would really like to follow up with you about twins and, immune system response, which Gerry Nolan has kind of already talked about with these incidents, and just kind of follow up with you more about psychic phenomenon and what happened after the beach incident.
Sure.
So if that's
Absolutely.
okay, I will
Be
reach
my
out.
pleasure.
I am connected with your brother. He and I do communicate on Facebook Instant Messenger, so I'll send him a message too. But
Okay, sure.
thank you so much. And I hope to see you on one of my trips out to Montauk.
Absolutely. Might be my pleasure.
All right.
Courtney, we're going to give you a raise. Great question about the twins. Debs, if you're there. Debs might not be there.
Oh, she just posted.
I'm
in the
going to
chat.
try.
Oh, go for it, please.
I'm going to try. I don't know if you guys. Okay, I just
Yes.
wanted to say good night and thank you so much for coming. And I cannot applaud enough your bravery in doing UAP science. We need a lot more people to be as brave as you are.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
of course, we appreciate your personal investment as well. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
And Julie, since you're on the panel and you are a cabbie, your cabbie goodbye to Mr. Tedesco.
Thank you, Mr. Tedesco. And hopefully you'll keep me updated with the twin things too, because my dad was a twin and his mom
Oh,
had
really?
3 sets. So
What
if
happened?
there is a twin connection of some sort, I wasn't a twin, but maybe it runs through the bloodline of people who have twins. You don't know. And I'm very interested in that also. And just thanks so much for riding with the cabbies. We enjoyed it, and please come back.
Yeah, I will. I will.
I just want to say
The
one thing. I
co-creator of
became
Calling All
friends
Beings,
with
Money Nathan.
Yeah, John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and it's just incredible the passion that you have for this and the dedication that you've applied to this pursuit. So we all are big fans. Are going to continue cheering you on from the sidelines. And if you're ever having those down moments, I hope you just can call on the fact that you've got a lot of supporters out there that are really want to
Oh,
see you guys succeed. So.
we really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we do. And I just wanted to say one thing. I became friends with some people from the UK that, they're trying to get themselves going. And they're, in North Wales, there's something going on there. A lot going on, but they're helping us out also.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of. We're just trying to say we're getting a lot of support from overseas as well.
I don't know how to say
Yeah,
Thank
that.
the
you.
the Brits are just been such great
Mm-hmm.
partners for us, whether it's UFOs, Bigfoot, true crime. The Brits are like our very close cousins here in America.
Yeah,
John,
we're all up on that. By the way, my name is Robin.
hi Robin, how are you,
Hey,
my New York
how
friend?
are you?
It'll
I'm
come out
DJ
sooner or
from
later.
Yeah.
Westchester.
Maybe
I want
From
to meet
Westchester.
Robin. Yeah, I want to meet
Hi.
Robin when I come out on Long Island,
Sure.
Montauk. I really want to meet
I
you
want to
guys.
meet you. I really want to meet, you guys. That would be great, because I love going out there and, I'm not afraid. You just got to keep an open mind and, it's kind of wild.
As we say,
And,
hopefully I'll see you in New York. John, my
Yeah.
paisan. Thank you so much for doing this, man. It was a pleasure to
Oh,
finally meet you, and I hope that you'll jump in the cab again and
absolutely.
talk some stuff with us. All right?
Absolutely. And I promise I'll be on time next time.
No, that's okay, brother. We greatly appreciate your time. Tell Gerry we said hello. Big hugs to you and
I will.
Robin. And on behalf of the entire cast, this is DJ saying peace out, one
Thank
love,
you.
and we will
big
see you
hugs and we'll
down the
keep you
road.
posted.
All right. Have a good night now.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye now.
Bye.